You're listening to BVRN, the Black Vault Radio Network. From the bizarre world of the paranormal to the sinister secrets of the U.S. government, the Black Vault has become known worldwide as the premier spot for anything and everything conspiracy. Now, join me, John Greenwald Jr., as we dive into the research together in hopes to decipher these mysteries. This is the Black Vault Radio. That's right, this is the Black Vault Radio. I'm your host, John Greenwald Jr. Thank you so much for making the Black Vault Radio your podcast of choice. We know that there are tons of shows out there. And for those of you who don't know, I'm bringing some of the best ones to you on the Black Vault Radio Network, BVRN, which is recently expanded in the last couple of weeks. Now with about 15, 16 shows, something like that. I should have counted before I got on the air here, which, of course, I'm not that smart. I didn't think about it, but I'm going to go ahead and pull up, actually, the site as I'm talking to you, blackvaultradio.com. There's tons of shows on the paranormal right now to download. That's not going to be the only category, though, on this network, on BVRN. Although paranormal was the first one to be built up, and you can see it's pretty fat if you're on there right now. Again, www.blackvaultradio.com. Some of the new shows that have just been put online, Voices Carry, Paranormal Talk Radio with Bob and Mark, that's on there with some of their archive. Precognitive Dissonance, that's on there now. That's been coming for the last 2 weeks, actually, so I'm glad to have part of that archive up. PsyOp Radio is up, and many others, and hopefully you heard the interview with Jeremiah Greer last week, host of Shadows in the Dark. We had a great time discussing. But going back to my point, it's not only paranormal shows on BVRN. We're expanding a little bit. You'll see 2 podcasts of history. One, which is from the United States Air Force National Museum. That's actually pretty interesting. If you're into history, you get to hear from a lot of war heroes and hear their stories and all sorts of great stuff to hear there. And also Presidential Archives Uncovered. This is a very cool show. This will actually dive into just that, the Presidential Archives, and pull out some very famous speeches and quotes. But on top of that, you get a little oral history as well from many of the cabinet members of past presidents, and you'll hear the voice of Kennedy and Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton. They're all on there to download. And, of course, the new category, Conspiracy, that's just on. As of early this morning, the Frank and Chris show, that's on there, and that's about a 3-4 hour show. So lots to listen to there, and also Nowhere to Run with Chris White. That's also online with part of their archive. I say part of their archive because in time, the entire archive of their shows will be online just to expedite the process and get the shows flowing on BVRN. I just added the shows with some of the last couple of episodes to give you an idea. There's now contact information for all the hosts. There's all sorts of great stuff. So you guys go check it out. And I'm going to bring this up just because I know some of you hate me for it. But I'm excited because listening to the polls today, going to politics now, which happens to be a category that's coming on BVRN. So stay tuned for that because you know me. I love ruffling political feathers. I've gotten many letters since I've announced my support for John McCain. And I set up, because of all those letters, I set up the BVRN Fan Rants. What is this? You can actually record on your computer. All you need is a microphone. Anything you want, comments and criticism, positive remarks, feedback on any show on BVRN, but this is made right now for Black Vault Radio. But again, you can upload any of them. I'll make sure the show hosts get them. We're not really advertising this as of yet for all the other shows, but you got something to say, by all means, upload it. Because I want to hear from you. I want to play part of it online at Black Vault Radio, but also I want people to be able to download your voice. You're saying exactly what you want to say. So make sure you check it out, BVRN Fan Rants at blackvaultradio.com. Guy Malone coming up. Friend of mine, host of Live from Roswell. Check him out, alienstranger.com on the internet. We're talking religion and UFOs. topic that's really fascinating to me, and I've got a lot of questions for Guy. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Black Vault Radio. I am your host, John Greenwald Jr. I'm excited about today's show because Guy Malone, who's been a friend of mine for many, many years, I don't get to see him as often as I want, is joining me on the phone. Guy, thank you so much for joining me on the Black Vault Radio.
Oh, thanks for having me. I always enjoy talking to you.
Well, thank you for your kind words. It's great to have you on for so many different reasons. First and foremost, you are now officially part of the Black Vault Radio Network, which I'm happy to say. Your show, Live from Roswell, goes up for every Friday night. You're recording and put a show online, so I'm excited about that. I'm hosting part of your archive. Hope to get more. I want to talk to you about your show, but first off, let me hear about Guy. Who is Guy Malone? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Oh, a long time ago. Galaxy far away. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, I live in Roswell now and have for almost a decade. And way back how I got started in doing this was as a childhood experiencer or whatever of what I thought could be aliens or UFOs, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to the bottom of the mystery, you might say, has been a kind of a lifelong pursuit or hobby. And I did a lot of reading on the topic even when I was younger in high school, but it wasn't a big part of my life. But I knew from memories and childhood experiences that if anything I read on the abduction phenomena was true, that was an experience that happened to me. And before I ever came to Roswell, I went online, or I got a webpage in Nashville, and I wrote a book that was partly autobiographical, but it was also kind of a big Bible study on what the Bible might have to say about all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty new in the field, and I don't even mention the book that much anymore because I'll probably write something else later on down the road that'll reflect my last decade of research. But some time after my experiences when I was young, and then in my young 20s, I became a Christian, and I started to just ask everything from a biblical point of view. You know, what does the Bible say about this, or what could the Bible say about that? And based on what had happened to me, like the sheer torment of the experiences themselves, and kind of the things I remember being taught, or the beings, you know, the big eyes, all that stuff, all that is actually, it's online on my book. People can read it. I usually don't bother to get into it in too detail. But I just came to view the experience as a new Christian as whatever this was that happened to me, it was purely demonic. And that's the premise I started with my book, is that these UFO beings or demons, they do preach a different gospel than what the Bible talks about. They lead people. Everything I saw back then, you know, like 10 years ago, before religion and ufology were really a hot topic, there wasn't much writing on it. But all I found on the internet had to do with UFO cults and bringing people into really weird belief systems. The motivation for writing my book was the Heaven's Gate suicide. And people don't really talk about that now, but you remember 39 intelligent people committed suicide in order so their spirit bodies would go on a UFO that was allegedly passing Earth. And the guy that led that cult was a minister's son. He claimed that he was the reincarnation of Jesus, and that the way for people to enter Heaven's Gate was by suicide to get on that UFO, and that was their chance, and they took it. And I was really, really burdened with how many people were being led astray by the false doctrines that are sort of accompanying or often run alongside honest, straightforward UFO research. And I always try to disclaim that I totally affirm good UFO research, like the work you've done, the people I've had at the conferences in the past years, Rich and Karen Dolan, Peter Robbins, David Sereda, and stuff like that. But there is this fringe side of occult and just crazy UFO religion. You know, right now it's Prophet Yahweh, who's kind of in the news, calling down UFOs, and his page is nothing but crazy UFO religion. So I guess you could say I entered in the field, in a nutshell, just to combat the false doctrines of people who were trying to make UFOs into a religion and say that the aliens were beings that are here to save us.
So just to clarify, so you did have an experience when you were younger, is that correct?
Probably maybe as many as a dozen.
Yeah. A dozen. And you, excuse me, and you believe that those experiences were with a demonic in nature being?
I only came to that conclusion